The Winnipeg Jets did it. They beat a division rival clean without overtime. The Winnipeg Jets versus the Minnesota Wild always promises to have fireworks, be a bit of a barn burner, and a throwback to old-time hockey. Coach Ryan D is going to talk about what this means for the Jets, what this means for the Wild. We're going to go over a lot of the statistics and storylines in this game. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned till the end of the video because Coach Ryan D is even going to break down in pictures the story of what's going on with Minnesota. Why are they one of the best teams in the NHL? It's very easy to see when you take a look at the diagrams we have today. And where is Winnipeg struggling and what are they going to have to tighten up? In typical Winnipeg, Minnesota fashion, the shots are under 30 for each team. And even though there were 2 goals put on the board, a 2-0 win by Winnipeg, one of those was empty net and one of those was called back. So this game was close from the first drop of the puck. The first thing to note in this game before we get into the fancy stuff, especially the fights and all the good things, is that it feels to me is that Winnipeg plays just terrible second periods. Look, I'm not going to go into and crack out a whole bunch of data to go with this. What I'm telling you, Winnipeg fans, and you let me know down below in the comments if you agree with me. For the last 3 years, every time I watch Winnipeg play a first period, I'm like, wow, the boys are really flying today. Then they do nothing in the second. It's the most boring period of the Winnipeg Jets, just historically. And then the third period, well, unfortunately this year and the last couple of years, we get beat up and we lose it. So the game starts high and the game degrades, but sometimes we do get bumps in the third period. So I feel like the third's 50-50. I feel like the first is always our best and the second is always our worst. No data to back that up. It's just how I'm feeling, and I want to know how you're feeling down below after watching it, because that was this game. Winnipeg came out flying. They outshot them at 10-6, and I'm so tired of saying this. They were 10-6 in shots. Then by the end of the second period, they were even. Of course we were. Way to go, Winnipeg. Nailed it, boys. And Jets fans, Wild fans, if you're new here and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? This is one of the coolest hockey channels going on YouTube right now. I'd love to have you here. Smash subscribe. Join the 4,000 people that got in on the ground level. There's still a lot more room to go in this pyramid scheme, baby. Mark Schiefele opens the scoring for the Jets. Look, Schiefele was better today. For sure he was better today. Finally, he steps up a little bit. But I'm tired of evaluating the Jets on a period by period basis or a single game by single game basis. It is about time Winnipeg strings a few of these periods together, like 12 to 16 of them maybe, and actually starts putting some games together. So yeah, Mark Schiefele has a good game, but we're going to have to see more. It's a step in the right direction. It's what you want, but I'm not sold yet. I've got to see a way larger body of work at this point in time, but I love the win. You got to love the win, clean your division. I mean, Winnipeg's going to have to do this so many times. They only have a 19% chance to make the playoff, folks. So 1 out of 5% chance to make the playoffs, and most of that requires like 5 teams in front of them to fail. So the Jets do not have the destiny in their hands. This isn't controllable by Winnipeg. The only thing Winnipeg can control is winning games, and then they have to hope some teams lose. So control what you can, which is this game. They get a win. It's great to see. The fight in the first was an awesome throwback. I mean, this is starting to remind me a little bit of the Battle of Alberta, where these teams just really despise each other. And that's good. It's about time the Jets have a really hardcore rivalry with one of the teams there. And what better place to do it than Minnesota? Both frigidly cold, both awesome fan bases. I love the way both teams are constructed. I mean, it's just great. And Minnesota fans, I need to be real with you guys for a minute. You're one of the best teams in the NHL, bar none. You're successful. We called that success going into the season, but I have a lot of fans, including people I know and love very much, who are going, you're nuts. Why is this team any good? Who do they have? And tell me how they can be good. And I feel like most of the league feels that way about Minnesota. I don't think they get the respect they deserve as a team, because when you look down their roster, there's no one there in Minnesota. I'm not saying this to be mean. There's no one there that stands out other than Kaprizov, where you're like, wow, that guy is so good. I'm jealous. Wish we had them on our team. But that is the way hockey goes. It's very tribal. People love their teams. They don't really venture outside of their team bubble. They know their team really well. And I can tell you this, as a YouTuber that covers all the NHL, but has a strong bias and love for the Jets, people know their team. They don't really venture outside their team. So if you do, you're not the norm. The norm is to lock into your team and only your team. So I guarantee you, Minnesota fans rail off the entire team, top 9. How do you not know? How do you not know? How do you not know? Well, you don't know. But Winnipeg fans, you got to look down this roster and see a couple players outside of Kaprizov. First off, Jared Spurgeon, one of the best underrated defensemen in the league. probably had a great chance at making Team Canada. I think as it got closer, I would have locked him in. And him and Kaprizov are two of the only small guys in this team. This team is built like a freight train. They're trucks. So it's interesting that their two best players are some of their smallest players. Spurgeon's very undersized for a D-man, but he plays the way you would expect a Canadian defenseman to play. He's tough in front of the net. He cross-checks the heck out of you. He blocks any shot you want. He's smooth skating. He's beautiful. It's kind of like Scott Niedermayer light. Well, that's overreach. I'll be honest, that's overreach. Nobody's Scott Niedermayer light, but he reminds me of the smooth skating Niedermayer, just light. Joel Eriksson Ek, Ryan Hartman, Jordan Greenway. These are names, Minnesota, that just they're not well known outside of Minnesota, I'll be honest, but they're very important players to this team. And then you got Marcus Foligno, the guy who got into a nice tilt with Lowry. We'll get to that. One of the most underrated tough guys in the league. The Jets' backs were against the wall without guys like Pierre-Luc Dubois. Ville Heinola had to step into the lineup. Look, Heinola was way better today than he has been for quite some time. He should have had 2 goals, but isn't that the story of the Jets? Should have scored. The wells run a little bit dry. Heinola looked much better today than he normally does. Hey, the Cole Perfetti watch, because we always talk about Perfetti. That guy's a top 6 player. I'll say it every time. Do not move him down to the 3rd line, even when Nick Ehlers returns. Cole Perfetti, NHL superstar in the making. Now let's talk about the fight between Lowry and Foligno. That's the one that's got people going. Look, you know, on this channel, if you subscribe, I normally put up the picture of the fight or break down the game and put it right there to show you. But you know what I found when it comes to whether it's fights or suspensions or cheap plays, it doesn't matter if I put it up there, because I could literally put a picture of a house on fire and someone in the comments on the other team would be like, the house isn't on fire. When it comes to Adam Lowry, I'm going to be real with you guys on Lowry. He's not much of a fighter. Okay. He's a big guy. He has to assume the role because the Jets don't have anyone else to assume that role. He's tough. I'm not saying he's not tough, but he's not what I would call your regular tough guy or fighter. He's not afraid to throw them, but he's definitely more of the 3rd line power forward or grinder type than he is the actual enforcer or fighter. But there's no one else on the Jets other than maybe Brendan Dillon. Beaulieu's, maybe sometimes if he ever makes the lineup. Since Byfuglien's left, there's really nobody that's going to clean this up for the Jets. Stanley is out as well too. So Lowry steps up with Foligno. That makes sense. These two guys were looking for each other all freaking night. The fight was fine. I got to give Foligno his positives here before I rip him apart. Foligno is one of the toughest guys in the league. I mean, he is. He's just tough. The Foligno brothers are tough. They know how to fight. They are really good. And Foligno is one of the best fighters in the NHL, in my opinion, in the modern era, because, the George Larocques, and they're not there anymore. It's a different game. So, but the knee to the head was a knee to the head. It was a purposeful knee to the head. It doesn't matter if I show it on the screen. Minnesota fans will argue that it wasn't, or some will. And there theoretically should be a suspension, but we talk about it on this channel all the time. Look, the NHL Player Commission, Safety Commission, whoever the heck they are, they're going to do whatever they want. The justice isn't equal. And that's not really the point of the argument. They'll sort it out. Now, if they see what I saw, he's going to get 2 to 6. Now, I think it's 2 because you got to be injured to get the more, the larger sum. And we've seen a lot of knees this year. Pionk on Sandin. We saw Jason Spezza get for 6. So I think this is going to be 1 to 2 games, but it could just be a $5,000 fine, because how many times do we see fights, in particular scrums, where guys get cross checks to the back of the neck or dirty things happen at the end of the fight? It's only a $5,000 or nothing. That is possible here. So I would venture there's going to be a suspension, but if there's not, go ahead and say I told you so, but I'm not married to that at all. The NHL will do whatever it does. So Sawyer was really pissed off about it on the Canadian broadcast. I don't blame him. He said it was garbage. There's no room for that in hockey. I totally agree. Again, you guys get on me in the comments for this. I don't really care. I don't really care because hockey is it's a dirty game. It's a physical game. This is what the players have signed up for. And you can say he didn't sign up for a knee to the head. He didn't, but it's an assumed risk when you play this game. This is coming from a player too. Like, guys, we've all been there. We've all played it. If you played with a half visor on at any level with contact at speed, at the end of the day, they're just some guys on the other team that are going to kill you, and you got to protect yourself. And when you can't protect yourself, guys are going to take cheap shots from time to time. So Foligno did it. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't part of it, but it's not the first time it'll happen in the game. It's not the last time. The NHL is going to do nothing about changing this in the future. So I'm not going to spend a whole host of time on that. But what I do want to spend some time on is where in your job, and I want you to think about your job, if your boss could video review what you were doing and all of a sudden found out you were missing a whole bunch of key aspects to your job, you'd probably be fired, right? Of course, Ryan, you'd be fired. That's how the world works. People get fired in the world all the time for just doing a great job because of budget cuts. How many times the referee is going to miss a knee like this or another suspendable play and go ahead and add any suspendable play that didn't get a major call to it? Just pick one. There's a trillion of them. And they never get reprimanded for it. You never hear about it. The referee never gets suspended. The referee never gets fined. They get to hide under the guise of, the game's fast, I didn't see it. Bullshit. You saw it. You're a wiener. This is how the game goes. You decided not to call it. And for some reason, the league calls it differently and everyone just goes, yeah, whatever. Anyways, I don't want to get on a big dialogue about the referees. They are what they are. It is what it is. I don't see it changing anytime soon. It's just really funny. It seems like the ultimate job. I think I'd like to be an NHL referee. Accountability seems to be zero. And that's what you want, a six-figure job with zero accountability. Okay, so on to the good stuff. This is what I said. Let's go ahead and take a look at why Minnesota has been so successful. And then we'll look, because you have to wait till the end, where Winnipeg stands in the same metrics. So what we have up here is from Hockey Viz. You can go ahead and you can see the stats in pictures. So if you're not an advanced stats person and you want to go ahead and know about advanced stats, go to Hockey Viz, V-I-Z. Link is right here in this video, at least their logo is. And check it out. See where your team stands. This is a tool if you ever wanted to know advanced analytics and the story of the game in pictures. Hey, a picture is worth 1,000 words, in my opinion. So this is way, way better to make the nerdy arguments that I love to make. So here's what's going on with Minnesota. We're going to take a look at their 5-on-5 offense. In the red heat map areas, what you end up seeing here is where they're generating the most amount of their chances. White, they're generating none, and blue, they're generating a few. So Minnesota's offense is unique because they are the third best team in the NHL. Yes, they are the third best team in the NHL at scoring goals. What? Mind blown. They're ahead of the Lightning. They're ahead of the Leafs. I don't understand. The world is upside down. Minnesota scores. Hey. Happens. And this is how it happens. They take their chances that they have here and look at their conversion rate over here. It's disgusting. Red is where they're scoring goals from. So the finishing one is where goals are coming in. And what you can see here is that they are producing a ton of offense and majority of it is right at the crease down below. They are finishing at an absolutely ridiculous pace. Absolutely ridiculous. If you go ahead and click in, you can get a little bit of a zoomed in feature. And what you can see is they have 154 goals on 128 goals expected. That's a lot more goals than goals expected. Goals expected uses advanced stats to say, we think the Minnesota Wild are going to score this many goals. And they go, hold my beer, watch this. We scored way more goals than your advanced stats. We're going to say that's why they are one of the best teams in the NHL. Now, we all know Minnesota's very defensive. So you take a look here down at their defensive heat map, and red is where chances are coming against Minnesota, and blue is where very few chances are coming against Minnesota. And what you see is that Minnesota is giving up shots from the point, and they're not giving up a lot of shots in front of their goaltender. And that's what you want to do. That's how you play the game. Look, shots from the point are great. Feed the point, get in front of the net, but that doesn't work as well as shots from the slot and shots that are going across the Royal Road that are high danger chances closer to the goalie. You always want to get closer to the goalie and more in tight and more to the center than you do from the outside. So Minnesota's keeping most of their shots to one side of the ice. At the point, they have a very good chance of keeping pucks out of the net. The further away the shot is, the more chance you can block it, the more chance your goalie's going to see it. They are just not dangerous chances from the point. Minnesota's doing a beautiful job defensively. So they're scoring at an unprecedented clip and their defense solid AF. But let's go ahead and compare that to the Winnipeg Jets, shall we? Because that's why we're here. The Winnipeg Jets offensive heat map, you can see they are generating their shots from three places: the slot and the 2-point men. So it's good that they're generating from the slot, but notice what's missing. They're only getting one shot within the slot. They don't have a huge heat map around the net. They got a little red bubble there, so that's some kind of good, but they do not have a heat map near the net. We know Winnipeg lacks in right-handed shots. Well, look where a lot of the offense is coming from. More from the left side. That makes sense, makes you more predictable. But the concern I have with Winnipeg is the amount of time they are spending at the point. Hey, look what we drew here. No matter what you do in the world, it always brings you back to drawings of dicks. Back to dick stats. If you take a look here in the middle, you can see that Winnipeg is generating most of their opportunities from the point and from the middle. But here, when you look at the heat map of finishing, they are ice cold around the net. Ice cold. This is not good. So even though they're getting a lot of chances in the slot, which is this area here, not many of them are going in. And guess what? A lot of chances from the point, not many of them are going in. Winnipeg's expected goals for 143. How many did they get? 115. So what does that mean? It means we have two teams that are outliers, and that happens all the time. That's how stats work. You have one team outlier on the negatives. That's the Jets. They should be way better than they are according to their stats. And you have the Wild. They shouldn't be as good as they are, but they're crushing it. It's the way hockey goes. It's why we play the game. The most concerning thing that you'll notice from Winnipeg, though, is that their defense heat map, they are letting so many chances happen in the middle of the ice in that zone you don't want them happening in, which is near the goalie. You want to be like Minnesota and have your shots to the outside. This is what you want to look like. This is what you do look like. Remember those old commercials? This is your brain on drugs? That's what it feels like. So this is not where Winnipeg wants to be. They need to fix this. Defensively right now, too many pucks are going in because too many people are getting shots here. Now, for all of you that say, trade Connor Hellebuyck, he's not having a great year, blah, 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 blah. Well, look at where all those high quality scoring chances are coming from. And then let's see how many of them are actually going in the net. Oh, look, they're ice cold in the middle. So that means Hellebuyck is performing way above expectations. And the reason I say it's Hellebuyck, that's because the defensemen are the ones that control here. The defensemen are the ones that allow shots to happen from here. The goaltender keeps these shots out of the net. Pictures, advanced stats. There's the story of what's going on. So Winnipeg flipped the script this game. They were able to score one goal, keep it out of the net. They battled well against Minnesota. Leads me to think that maybe Winnipeg is just built to only play Minnesota. I mean, you do build teams to play within your division. Well, that's all I have for you today. Hey, look, it's been awesome having you here, but why not check out some of these cool Jets videos right here? We have 5 key takeaways for the Jets. We have one here if you ever want to learn what is the right way to have a great power play. Thanks for being here, everybody.